ready. Nope. If you don't need it, put it down.
Go with it.
No, it is my life. Okay.
One morning early on in the semester, you receive a text message from your mother. The message reads, What is the weather like right now? Since it's Rexburg, you can't be sure. So you simply say, it's precipitating. However, being in a hurry to get to your class at 7:45 a.m., you shorten the word to a simple P-ing. However, you're already 2 minutes late, so you neglect to insert a dash between the P and the ing. The resulting message is, it is pinged. The unfortunate recipient of this message is your moderately concerned mother, who hasn't heard from you in over 24 hours, and your intent is to send a relational message to inquire upon your well-being. Your mother is deeply disturbed by the message and believes that you are crying out for help. While this hypothetical situation sounds completely ridiculous, the truth is that we use jargon like this all the time. However, since we are constantly exposed to it, we often fail to recognize when we are using it. The problem with this kind of jargon is that it is very exclusive, as it is only understood by the texting elites of our generation. To everyone who is unexposed, when they see texting lingo, all they see is ping. And as a result, they become excluded and isolated. The excessive texting doesn't just invite miscommunication. It also makes us impersonal and hurts our intellectual skills. For these reasons, as scholars and as missionaries, we must learn to text sparingly. The jargon we use in our texting is a breeding ground for miscommunication. If we were to say G2G, props, or IDK to your parents, would they know what you meant? How about your grandparents? This is because their generation is relatively unexposed to the texting lingo. And when you use these terms, you are isolating them. If you've ever had a friend send you something like WTF or LMAO, then you probably had no idea what they meant, because these abbreviations are really vulgar, and as Mormons, we're relatively unexposed to them. And so, in that way, we've been isolated. Aside from the basic miscommunication that occurs from using jargon in our text messages, when we use jargon, it often spills into our everyday vocabulary. How many times have you tried to use text abbreviation in the game of Scrabble? Text messaging isn't evil. It's a convenient and quick method of communication. However, problems arise when the majority of our communication becomes convenient and quick. Because we become insincere and impersonal. One of my best friends in high school was very outgoing. The church teaches us that we should always develop our talents. My friend Jaron had many talents to develop. Because of this, he was always on a tight schedule. My friend, text messaging became his preferred mode of communication because of this. And over time, his messages became less and less personal and more vague. Because of his busy schedule, Jaron would often have to cancel events such as going on bike rides or going to the movie theater. I had another friend named Andrew. Andrew and I noticed that about 15 minutes, or a trend developed where about 15 minutes before Jaron was supposed to show up, he shoot us a text message that said something like, BTW, I can't come. The problem with these messages is they lacked tone. For all we knew, he hated us. While this was obviously not true, the message he was unknowingly sending to us was, I don't care enough to send more than 3 words in an acronym. As a result of this, BTW became a verb. Andrew and I would often say, Jaron just BTW'd me again. BTW had become a substitute for an insincere apology, or a sincere apology. Texting has a psychological impact on us. When we are constantly exchanging the same messages or words and phrases with a small group of friends, it begins to shape our mind. The Department of Psychology at Roehampton University, London, published a study in which they had the participants exposed to misspelled words through texting. Through the course of the experiment, it demonstrated that those who were exposed to the misspelled words had a greatly decreased performance in their spelling. Stephen Perry, a communications professor at Illinois University, published a study illustrating how text messaging can actually impact the attention span of students. In addition, he also showed how, the basic writing skills that we have can become impaired by students, or can impair a student's ability. The basic, in addition to the basic writing skills, it can impair our reading ability. The first step to improvement is acknowledge the problem. You must first evaluate whether or not you text excessively. According to the Nielsen Company, American Global Information and Measurement Company, the 4 main signs that can help you determine this are: 1, losing track of time or neglecting more important things such as sleep. 2, feelings of withdrawal if you do not have your phone with you. 3, constantly looking for ways to upgrade your phone. 4, experiencing problems in family and other relationships. Perhaps you notice that these symptoms are very similar to ones you'd look for in someone if you were identifying an addiction. This is because, according to the American Public Health Association, texting can become one. As a society, we have become extremely attached to our cell phones. In San Francisco, Square Trade, a leading provider in consumer electronics, surveyed over 2,000 iPhone users and found that 30% of the users had damaged their phones within the last year. The survey also showed that 60 of those people had dropped their iPhones in the toilet. People aren't that clumsy. We just take our phones with us everywhere. If you want to find out just how dependent you are on your phone, then try going 24 hours without using it. Soon you'll be expected to go 2 years without it. Imagine how difficult it will be if you wait until then to overcome a texting addiction. Now is the time to adjust. I'm not proposing that all of you have a texting addiction, and I'm also not here to give you a diagnosis. I'm here to help you to recognize the dangers of texting and to compel you to text sparingly. I'm not suggesting that you stop communicating with people. My goal isn't to turn you into a band of unsociable hermit students. What I expect from you, as fellow missionaries, is that you seek out more personal modes of communication to replace your texting habits. For instance, the next time you want to know how your friend's doing, why don't you give them a call? It'll take more time, but it'll be more meaningful. Also, why don't you try talking to them face-to-face in person? Then you can develop your people skills.